Good koutou, welcome to our Waipapa Papanui-Innes-Central Community Board meeting today. Just a heads up first that this meeting is being live streamed, so please be wary when you're speaking that it is being live streamed. We'll start off with our karakia, so if I can get everyone to stand.
Ia mā taratara te kai, e hia ke ana te atakura, e tio, e huka, e auhuka, te e mawhiora.
Thank you. First item on the agenda today is apologies, and we have Pauline and Sally both for lateness. Pauline will be joining us online in about 10 minutes or so, and Ellie will be here in person soon. We have no declarations.
Sorry.
Okay. Jake's moved that, Simon seconded, put that motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
Sorry. No declarations of interest. Item 3, confirmation of previous minutes. We'll have a mover and Emma and Jake. Put that motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. And we'll move now to the public forum. We've got 3 presenters today. First up, Belfast Primary School prefects. They unable to make it after all, but they have given us a video which we're going to we'll put that up now. Good koutou, welcome to our Waipapa Papanui-Innes-Central Community Board meeting. Just a
Are you a prefect?
So much for your kind contribution towards our prefect team. Attending the Papanui Youth Development Trust Leadership Training, I learned that being proactive was better than being reactive. I learned how to synergize, which means together is better. And I should begin with the win in mind. I learned to think win-win because everyone can win. I learned to work together and to argue. From planning and where we want to go. And it's where automatic achievement. I learned that every good conversation starts with about the 7 habits.
Something.
Well done.
7 habits.
Right, it was good to see that.
All of them.
Yeah, good to see that they're making good use of the funds that we've given them. Next up, we have Symmetry come up. Symmetry's from Te Aratai College and was the recipient of our Community Service Award that we gave the school.
Oh, wow.
We've got Emma along with today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Smriti Parajli, and I was the recipient of the Community Service Award. And I created a presentation for you guys.
Oh,
And
nice. Thank you.
I'm here to talk about what community service work led me to get the Community Service Award that was gifted by you guys to our school, Te Aratai College. Yeah. So part of being a group of AKC, I'm the leader of AKC, one of them, and the creator of AKC, Ms. Kalian. So every Monday we go from our school after school in our own time. We go to Odwin's house, the senior residents, where we go with them and visit.
Next slide.
So this was our 2023 project. And I wrote, so through this AKC group, we actually got the opportunity to do a volunteer course through UC as well. And I stole a bit of their idea and I did, what is this project about? So the project of 2023 from the AKC group, we do it to be there for the community. And this project was our project that kept going as we started off by picking rubbish around school, like a start off, and it helped. What was his name?
Dave, a caretaker.
Yeah, and he said it really helped him, and that was our start. And it's just helping in the community. It's like a sense of belonging, and most of our AKC members and leaders come from another country, and it's hard to fit in sometimes. So having connections with other helps. And how does it work? So we go to Odwin's house every week on Mondays after school in our own time. And we go there, they have rec rooms, and we just and we go to the lounge room or rec room, 2 spaces we can go. And in the rec room where I usually am, I'm with Beverly, one of the senior residents, and we just chat, make bracelets, and connect with one another. And we've really had a good bond over the few weeks, and it makes you feel good. And why do I do this, and what does it do for me? So being part of AKC, it feels like I belong somewhere, and it gives me, good, I'm a part of something in the community. And it helped me grow as a person, and I learn to interact with others. And it makes me feel Christchurch like a little bit of home, because I'm not from here. And we have our AKC badge, and it's pink, and it stands out as it's part of Pink Shirt Day, right? Because that's how it started. Yeah. It symbolizes that we help around school. All the AKC members have a badge. So leader and member badges with the school logo. And next slide, I added some pictures so you guys could see. Yeah.
Nice.
We have an Instagram, so this is where I got it.
Okay, we'll
follow it.
Yeah, AKC 2023 on Instagram. I want to say thank you for inviting Smriti today. It's so important for me to see her being acknowledged for the hard work that she's done, but also I wanted to just say a little bit very quickly about the origin of the group. And I'm sure you guys have all been to school, so you know that being in a school environment, regardless of your age, whether you're a student or a teacher, it's a challenging environment sometimes. And we are at a school, Te Aratai College, which has had a major evolution from Linwood High to Linwood College, and then after the earthquake, Linwood College Otakaro, and now on a new site rebranded as Te Aratai College. And part of trying to form a new culture for the school in this new era is this wonderful group, the Active Kindness Collective. We started with 7 students in May, and we now have almost 40, and it's growing every single week. And it's a word of mouth thing, but it's also students like Smriti standing up and doing the right thing all the time, showing others that that is the right thing to do. And so rather than taking a punitive approach and wagging fingers and talking negatively about the things that we see that maybe we think could get better, these students are modeling what that looks like. And so I'm really grateful to them.
We all
Yeah.
are.
Sounds like you're a very worthy recipient of that award. Really,
Thank you.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Any questions, board members?
No?
Just thanks, really. This is the
Thanks, and
coming along.
keep up the good work. What year are you in this year?
Year 11.
Year 11, right?
Yeah. Make sure you're 12. Yeah.
And future head student.
We'll definitely just make sure you keep in touch with us. If
Okay.
there's issues that you hear about at the school, see in the local community, then use us to help make things happen.
Sure. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for coming along.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Next up, we have Anne Galloway from Hagley College.
Good, Anne. Thank you. Really nice to see you all. Thank you for this opportunity. It's really nice. So yes, I am here just to talk to you a little bit about what Hagley does and what it is, since it's in your hood now, or and it's nice to know that you're there, and so just forming bonds, really connections. And the last speaker, Sariti, just what she said about belonging is a lot of what we do at Hagley. So my role is called the Diversity Services Manager, and I lead a team of multilingual workers, support workers who work with the former refugees coming to Hagley to learn English. And as well as that, we work with them and their whānau to kind of just empower them to really make their place here in Christchurch and get that sense of belonging, which I think Sariti was talking about. So I just thought it would be good for you to have a quick look at some of just get a glimpse of some of the things that happen at Hagley. So there's if we just go through these quickly, these are 2 of our diversity services workers. They are multilingual, as I said. They sit with the students who are learning English in the class and help them with interpreting. We have a preschool on site at Higley, and many of our, you can keep going, Mark, it's just cool. Many of our former refugee parents are there. They drop their children and then they come to learn at school. So the preschool is a really key part of what Higley does. So many of these students have spent years in refugee camps, and so they come and really value education. So Higley is obviously all about education. And I guess one of the things I'd like you to think about is how you can support that sense of growing, that sense of belonging for folk, and so that they can participate in the community. So some of the barriers that we have are transport, costs of transport. We have obviously the language, but we also have things like access to driving lessons and swimming lessons and sports equipment. Those sorts of things are really perhaps something that you could think about in the future as something you could do to support the work that Higley's doing with the former refugees. So if many of these have got huge skills to bring, but because of a language and because of also that sense of, I guess, disempowerment, they can't always give as much as they'd like to. So these are our neighbours, they're our friends, they're our community, and diversity, the strength of diversity is, it brings strength to us all. So it's really important, I think, that we work together to make that sense of belonging for them. So that's really all I wanted to say, and just to sort of sow some seeds that maybe I could come to you again next time and think about ways that you could actually support us. One of the things we have done this last term is actually have community meals together. We've provided pizzas and Subway, and our whānau who come to school with their children in the evenings, we get together and eat together, and that's been wonderful. We had about 100 people coming to that. That's about $600 a week. So I raise the funds. I'm the fundraiser for this whole program, and so the benefits of it, though, are just huge. So thank you for the time. You might have some questions. I don't know how we're going for time, Mark, but yeah. So I'd love to answer anything or help you to understand. Yeah, Emma.
I'll go Victoria and then Emma. Sorry, she had it.
Here I am taking over. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Do you require volunteers
Yes.
as
yes,
well?
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to know a little bit about that, because often we meet people in the community that want to help and they don't, we can steer them off in certain directions.
Oh,
So
that's fantastic.
the second thing for me is I have very good friends who are sponsoring a refugee family that arrive in Christchurch tomorrow from Syria, and they have a preschooler. So I'd really like to talk with you, if I can have your contact details after this, because this sounds like a really nice place for them to land.
Yes.
They're basically fresh. They arrive tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I'd love to be able to.
Love. Yeah, I'll definitely connect you. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
So
We work through Volunteer Canterbury, which is obviously something that the council supports amazingly well. And the only thing with working in a school is that they just have to be police checked, and that can take a little while. But we have a lot of volunteers that come in and work with the children in the evening. We have study support for our former refugee pupils who might need a bit of help with their schoolwork on a Tuesday and Thursday night, and then their adult classes running at the same time. So we have our whānau learning hub where the whole whānau comes together and they go in their separate directions. So volunteers are key to that success, of that program.
Details with us.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Emma and then Pauline.
I was just wondering about the connection between the school and the new centre.
Oh, great question. Yeah, the multicultural centre.
Yes.
That is going to be opening in March next year. Yes, so a very strong connection with that. So we will be using that space a lot. I don't know if you know the history of it, but Higley did hope to have that multicultural centre on site, but this is a much better outcome. So it's very exciting. I'm actually on the trust board as an ex-official just to represent Higley, and everyone's really excited about it. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Pauline.
And driving practice around the
Driving practice, yes. Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
I just wanted to say hi, Anne. I'm sorry I'm not there today. Nice to see you virtually, and I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing there. I know it's your job, but they couldn't get anyone better than you to be doing that, and it's great that you've recognised the importance of community boards and coming and talk to us and look at the benefit today you've had already. So, yeah, thank you for everything that you do.
That's lovely. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Any more questions? John?
Yeah. What, if any, are the geographical limits of attending Hagley College?
Really great question. No, there are none. So we have students who live at Templeton who come in, catch 2 buses, and Sumner. So they get settled by Purupura Whetū. It used to be Red Cross, and they would support them and get them settled here. It's now Purupura Whetū, and they try and find houses for them, you know, central, so that because many of them don't have cars, so they need public transport. But yeah, no geographical zone or anything. They can just come.
Right. Thank you.
And enroll. Yep. No, that's a good question.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, keep that conversation going.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep. I'll leave a few cards.
It'll be lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, everyone. Keep up the good work. I know how hard you work.
You do.
I do.
Item 5, we do not have any deputations, but I'll just note there are 2 documents in the hub about the Avebury Park play space upgrade. Those people who couldn't make it along to give a deputation, those 2 documents from Joanna Gould and Sandra Cox are there in the hub. No petitions. That takes us to item 7, which is the Avebury Park play space upgrade. So we have Marcy to come on up. Welcome, Marcy.
Kieran online as well.
Can I just ask a question, like about those 2 items that those 2 people could not come to the board? Would we treat them like a deputation to this report? Will we refer to those in the?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello. So yeah, I'm Marcy McCallum. I was previously the project manager on this project. I'm actually in the process of handing it over very soon, but I'm here to present it because I know the most about it. So I'll take what is just questions, but happy to go through the 2 questions that came through from the deputations.
Yes, if you could address those issues brought up in that.
Okay. I'll deal with the slide just to start with. So I think some of you came along to the Avebury, I want to say the Avebury Gala. Yeah, so that was a really good day. We got some good feedback then. We got a huge amount of feedback from the whole community on the project. We did hear loud and clear at that particular day that the existing slide was really popular, particularly with little children who like to clamber over it and then go down. And yeah, so we took that on board, and we've changed the slide from being a standalone stainless steel slide to a 1 metre high stainless slide on a mound, so that they get the same experience. We can't keep the slide the way it is now because it doesn't comply with the standards. There's entrapment issues with the way the logs are with fingers, and you can't have on the side of a slide, you can't have timber or anything hard. So that's why it's non-compliant. The reason we've gone with stainless is just to have a bit of variety in our network, but also because children with cochlear implants get major static issues from plastic slides. So we try and have a bit of variety, and this playground in particular is more inclusive than our standard playground. So trying to make sure that it's got something in there for everybody. We went with 1 metre wide. I don't know whether any of you have had little children and tried to go down a slide with them. There's lots of, and that's probably one of the main causes of injuries in playgrounds, is children breaking their legs from going down with parents, and their legs stick to the side, and broken bones or very sore legs. So we've gone with 1 metre wide. It allows for more inclusive play, and it's better for kids with less physical abilities than others. It's safer for adults to use with kids. We recognise that lots of adults still do like to go down slides with children, and that this playground is targeted at the junior sort of preschool age due to the paddling pool being there. So we can make it with a flat platform at the top, so that is possible. It does have sides. I think one of the comments was it didn't have sides. I think I've got a picture that's a bit more zoomed in than the one that's there. It does actually have sides on either side like the existing one does.
That's exactly the same as all.
It's the same supply. Yes, it is. Yeah, yes. So that's the current playground standard. So it complies. It has the bar across the top to stop. Obviously, little people can still go through it, but it's there to stop people standing and having that really major full height from the top there. So we do recognise that stainless steel does obviously get hotter than plastic. The feedback we've had is that where it's located, there would be less than a handful of days a year where it would be too hot, and it's very unusual that it would be too hot. We have angled it so that it's not getting facing sun in the afternoon. It will get sun in the morning, but it's not expected to be intense enough that it would heat it up, that it would be unusable. What else have I got there? So yeah, as I said, the old slide that is there cannot be made compliant. It would have to be removed. We've had lots of feedback on that there's been fingers getting stuck as recently as a few weeks ago. So hopefully that covers off the slide question. In terms of the roctopus, we didn't include a roctopus in our plan, and the reason for that was it is cost prohibitive. It's about 43,000 last time we got it priced, which is quite a lot more expensive than our other options. But also I didn't include it because I see it as a hazard in a junior play space. It needs a really, really big area around it. But I did actually print off a picture of it. Did go a little bit staticky when I printed it. But essentially, and I don't know whether anyone's noticed it down there, the tyres sort of spin around. They're really hard, they're really heavy, and they knock. I watched at the gala a child get knocked over by it. So they are more of a hazard. So if it's sort of rotating, it needs to have a much bigger space around it. So there's lots of extra room to run around. And also so preschoolers don't sort of run through its path and get taken out, because they could actually do quite a bit of damage there. So the one that's in Avery Park was installed in 1988. So it's 35 years old. We try and renew our play equipment every 25 years where possible, but yeah, so it's well past its renewal date now. We have had issues with the arms falling, and they've been quite costly to repair across the city. We've had all of them audited and checked. What else? And the other reason is because we chose the Orion carousel for its accessibility. It's suitable to be to sit, stand, kneel, climb, whatever your ability is. You can use it in many different ways, and it can also have up to 20 kids on it at a time. So in the peak summer period, it'll be much more usable than the roctopus. Roctopus works best when you've got people that are roughly the same weight using it, but it's also very hard for small children to get onto it. I know my daughter's here today. She has used the one at Nunweek Park a few times, and she's almost 9 and very tall, and she struggles to get on and off it. So it really only caters to a really small age bracket as well. So that was kind of the rationale as to why we went with the Orion carousel spinner instead of the roctopus. Yeah.
He's done a great job of answering those questions that were raised in those. Victoria.
Just touching on that Orion spinner, can you help me get an idea of the size of that?
Yeah, sure. So
I see the number of kids by just diameter-wise.
So it is, I believe it's around 3.6 metres tall. So you can climb, I don't have a zoomed in picture of it, sorry, but in the plan you can climb up the inside of it and also on the outside of it. So it's, I think the tall point on it is 3.6 metres.
Our other comment is, I'm just going to find out where I had it. Here it is. And you may or may not be able to answer this, but it was in the last paragraph, paragraph under paragraph 6, when you talk about baby children needed over the paddling pool. I appreciate that that's a rec and sport asset.
Yeah.
It would just be really nice to know, it would be good to get that done at the same time when you've got an upgrade. And do you have any information about where it is in the priorities for rec and sport? And is there any money on budget for it? I just thought it'd be nice to do it while you're upgrading the park.
Yeah, so we passed that information on to Lizzie Farthing, who's the planner for the Rec and Sport unit. And it's noted, I don't know where it sits in their priority list in terms of, I don't actually know whether they're looking at upgrading shelters.
I just wonder if we could make an inquiry and chase that along a little bit.
Yep. I know that part of it is shaded. It's just not the whole, I think, on the plan. I think you can see that there's a whole section of it that is shaded. But yeah, there is a big section that's not. Maybe that, I'm not sure, I could be just purely speculating, but maybe that's so that it's heating the water, the sun's heating the water at the same time. Okay. But yes, acknowledge that shade is an issue in lots of our parks and play spaces.
it'd just be good to know that just for a all round. That was all. Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the few comments in the submissions about shade over the seating area around the bed.
It would be good to get some more shade in there.
John.
Hey, Nancy. I'm still concerned about the stainless steel on the slide because a lot of people have mentioned the heating of it, and I can imagine that being a concern.
Yeah.
Especially notwithstanding the south facingness of it during the peak of summer when the sun is directly overhead. Are there other examples in Christchurch of slides of that same make and model?
Not the same make and model. Oh, similar. We do have at Margaret Mahi, we have a number of slides. They have some issues, particularly the large one. It is not really angled in the optimum angle for Margaret Mahi. We do have stainless steel slides at Aberley Park, and we do have some older stainless steel slides at a number of other parks. From what I've been told is it's really only an issue for less than a handful of days a year. And at Aberley Park in particular, in Avery Park in particular, you've got where the north facing, so north is here, you've got this humongous big tree that is in full leaf over the summer. And it actually does create quite a lot of shade into that area.
The technical term is it humongous?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of shade. There's two big trees and another one just underneath the ladybird here that do provide quite a bit of shade into that play space.
Yeah. The tree at the bottom right is the most important of that.
It is, and we're reluctant to. So we did look at trying to move it back as far as possible, but to get. In terms of the tree's health, we need to make sure that we're not underneath its drip line, and over its roots and anything like that.
Is there any sort of shadow modelling available?
We haven't done that.
I suppose a handful of days and years enough, but if it
so
could be burned on one level, it's just as bad.
I totally understand that. They have put a lot of stainless steel slides elsewhere in New Zealand that probably have higher sun hours than Christchurch. They're still, so when I did speak to the supplier about it and said, is there anything that they could do? Like, is there something they can layer on underneath that would maybe not make it radiate as much heat? Both the playground suppliers that I did speak to sort of seemed to not think it was as big an issue as some of the community members. And I totally understand the community members' concerns because I have felt the slides in particular at Margaret Mahi. But yeah, I think it is an issue, but we could mitigate it, and obviously preschoolers can't read. We could stick a little sign on the side of the on the stainless steel here. We could have something put onto there, just to warn parents so that it's more you sort of see it and you go, oh, I better just check that before my child runs onto it. But that's probably it's obviously not going to solve all the issues because children will just run and go on the equipment, and that's just the nature of children, and that's what we want them to do. We want them to be.
Yeah, I'm surprised the manufacturers don't have some sort of mitigation, like painting them or sort of silicon layer.
If they feel it's not a big deal, why would they bother?
I suppose. Well, if it's
a design, it's more of a design thing, is making sure it's angled the right way. If it's angled the right way, there's no issue. So we have one at Barrington Park, and that's tucked away, and it's it's got a lot of shade from trees, and there's never been an issue on that one. It is just a small, I think it only sits at 1 metre. This one's 1.5 metres. But I haven't heard any complaints about heat on that particular one.
Okay, good. That's sort of a parallel.
Yeah, so we may look at sort of during the detailed design phase, it may align slightly more this way. Yes, so that's something we are exploring. It might just be a slight tweak to the alignment of the picnic table, but that's something they're going to look at a detailed design.
Yeah, if they can be extremely cognizant of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just a wee statement about the wooden slides, because the one that was taken out of Aberley Park is still sadly missed.
I used that as a child myself.
Very sadly missed. Are you trying to find a company that actually makes wooden slides like that are
they're not compliant, and I'll just explain why.
But how can they be made compliant?
So with this mount here, you can't have timber or anything hard. So this is cushioned, and it's got the safety absorbent layer underneath the surface here. You basically can't have timber on or anything hard. You can't have rocks, boulders, anything hard on either side. So a slide essentially needs about, from memory, I think it's about 0.5 metre, or at least possibly even 1 metre on either side. That's not hard. because it's part of the safety exclusion zone. So
I wonder what happens to these kids when they haven't had an accident when they hit 18.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it is.
Well, they get to reach 18 probably.
Yeah, it is a playground standards. It's not us just trying to be difficult or anything. It is,
No,
it
no,
is
I
the
know,
playground
but the
standards.
thing is they are missed. People,
I know.
the kids love them.
Yeah.
Parents love them.
Mm.
And what my point was is, are we looking at, finding something that is.
This is what we've So we did take that feedback on board from the gala day, because I think every single person that I spoke to that day, that was their feedback. So we did go back, and this is probably the best option. I talked to pretty much three or four of the suppliers which supply into our market, and this is kind of the solution that they came up with.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think new kids who don't have a pre-built nostalgia will enjoy that and develop a nostalgia for that.
What about the parents that want to relive?
Well, I think it's the games they play on them as well as, going down the slide. I mean, it wasn't just the slide, it was climbing all over the sides and falling over the sides and hanging from their fingers and stuff like that.
The benefit of one of these mounds as opposed to the timber is there's a playground out in Longhurst in Oswald, and the developers put in a lovely playground, and then there's two, not with a slide, there's two mounds off to the side that are covered in astroturf. Every time we go there, no one's playing on the playground, they're all playing on those mounds, rolling down them. So I see that there's some benefit in this here as well, and they can use the backside of it because it will be quite a gentle kind of gradient. I feel like there'll be a lot of preschoolers that just want to roll up and down there. They might not even be interested in the slide. So there's kind of that benefit as well, and it will be a safer way to do that than clambering on the timber one where it's a little bit harder and there's the finger entrapment issues. But noted, this was essentially the compromise solution for what fits within the current playground standards.
I was just curious to know who sets the playground standard.
So there's that I don't know who personally sets them, but it's the New Zealand standards, and basically they work with a whole lot of I guess I'm not sure whether it's the playground people that are doing the design and research and development, but there's a couple of very, very specialised people that work in the industry, and I'd say that they're heavily involved in the setting of it. But they're kind of applied nationally, and they're
I just mean which government agency.
I'm not actually sure. That's a good question though. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Probably MB, isn't it?
Probably.
Yeah. So for those that don't have children as well, I mean, we are very lucky in New Zealand that our councils are still putting in playgrounds, because in some places around the world, they are taking them out because they're really too dangerous. So, we are actually, quite lucky.
I've got a couple of questions. Was a basket swing considered?
Oh, the basket swing question. So I don't know whether I actually can't remember if I've talked to this board about this before. We have some major issues with basket swings in Christchurch. We've lost close to 30 of them. This site doesn't have a whole lot of passive surveillance. It's in a dead-end street. I love a basket swing. Just to replace the actual basket, is last time I checked, and this was probably over 12 months ago, it was $2,987. And that didn't include any of the new chains or the fitting of it. So we got into a bit of an issue where we were having them stolen every month or every couple of months. We've only ever recovered one of them, and that was the one that was stolen from Wheaty Domain not that long ago. So council's made the decision that they'll only go into the destination spaces that have got lots of surveillance and whatnot. Just because we cannot afford to keep replacing them, unfortunately, which is a real shame because
they're great.
Yeah, they're an accessible item, and they, multiple children can use them at the same time. And the other question I had was about the colours of the equipment that came through on few of the submissions. Not wanting those bright primary colours, talking about making it sort of more natural looking to the surroundings. I know you're the fact that it was a heritage park, you go for those bright colours. So can you explain? I can explain that. So I did have a very long conversation with a lady at the gala day who was dead set on timber. So the reason this is a heritage setting, so the Avebury Park is a heritage setting. The Parks Unit's decision on that has been that they go with a more heritage vibe, I guess, to it. So think of Avebury Park, Aberley Park, that was done a couple of years ago. Rising Home, which Jake might be more familiar with because it was with the other board, and Wooden Park when it gets redone. So they all have a sort of certain look and feel. They try and go with things that are sort of a nod to the past. They try and use the primary colours for those. The other side of the timber debate is that we have to use treated timber so that it doesn't fail, and it's not recyclable at the end of its life, whereas you can recycle some of the other materials, particularly steel. But then again, steel's got the carbon issues at the start of the process. So timber probably wouldn't be a good look and feel for this park. So we've gone, I don't think we've actually made any decisions on the colours at this point. I think there's some colours shown there. The Orion spinner will not be in those bright sort of orange and yellow and light blue. It'll be probably more in the primary colours. So yeah, there is probably some flexibility with the colour palette. There won't be purple on the bottom of the slide like there is on this photo. Yeah, so yeah, I'm open to that as well.
Just about the accessibility aspect of it. The submission there from the DPA.
Yes.
In regards to their recommendations, they've all because I see that the Ortex, am I right in the Ortex spinner is not going in?
The Orion spinner.
Orion spinner.
One of the options, yes.
But they're saying that that's the most suitable for accessibility.
Yes, it would. Yeah. Sorry, I haven't read that submission for that, but let me just have a quick check. Oh, the Oryx and Orion. Oh no, that is what we've chosen.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sorry, yeah.
the Oryx and Orion were very similar. They're just a slightly different shape, but they have exactly the same function. They're from the same supplier and they do all of the same things in terms of accessibility. The Orion's actually got a bigger gap to get children into the bottom platform. So that was, yeah.
Cool. And the tables and water fountains and things like that, that's all been taken into consideration.
Yes, so the picnic table will have it. We've just put one in at Rising Home that's the same look and feel. It's the garden and heritage feel. It's got an extended section on the end that you can wheel a wheelchair and sit really comfortably underneath there. So we'll go with those. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a movement in.
I was just going to say one thing around the Rocktopus because I've just remembered there are 15 in Christchurch and there are there's 4 or 5 that are on the east side of town. So those ones are Royal Park Reserve, South New Brighton Park, Spence Park, St Albans Park, Shortland Playground. And there's some more up around this side of town as well. Yeah.
Mover and a second, Jake. And your hand up. Yes. Yeah. What is it you need to wait? Okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 8 is the discretionary response notification from St Albans School and direct charitable trust. Along those.
Yeah, Carol.
Move, by the way.
Pauline's happy to move. Sunita seconds. Any questions? Debate?
You know, just a question.
Sorry?
It's been moved and seconded, but Victoria's got a question.
I have a question. Yeah, where was I at? For my notes. I kind of might have missed it, didn't know where to look for it, but I note that the charitable trust, New Direction Charitable Trust, this is the second year that they're hosting the event. I wasn't sure where to look for information on what happened on the first one and how well supported it was, how well the first event went. You got any information on that?
Yeah, I can go with Sam did the thing, but I worked with Nadia and Sam wasn't. But yeah, the feedback was it was better, more young people, more whānau than they had expected. It was really well attended. It had a really whānau vibe. Yeah, so hence the reason why they thought they would do it again. They missed their strengthening community, so both applications, the St Albans School and New Directions next year will be encouraged to apply to strengthening communities, not the DRF. Yeah, but Andre, who is I think he's the pastor there. He really involved in the community, volunteers at the Shelley Hawks League, knows the community, knows the young people, is at all of the events. And I think they saw a need that after Christmas Day, there's nothing really. What we do know in the Shelley, that a lot of the families don't go away anywhere, they stay over the Christmas breaks. So that's why Shelley Community Trust run the holiday programs in January. So it's about giving the kids, children, young people, tamariki, something to do.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Emma, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, my question is in regards to the St Albans School one and the reasoning for giving half.
Just the history of funding, the level of funding.
So where are they going to get the other half?
They have a school budget that they will use.
Okay, so and that is the same as what they have been using in the past, or are they going to have to use more?
My understanding is they'll pop that up with the budget from.
And is that wrong a living wage?
I'm sure I can find out for you.
Because I don't think we should be supporting anything unless it is a living wage.
But they can do with the money what they wish.
Yeah, but we need to be, we're here to, you know, show how it should be done.
Yeah, I know, but if we give them money, then they pay, I mean, it's up to them. I'm not suggesting that
Council's
we
going through a whole process of only working with companies that are living wage employers.
Okay, well, this is a school with kids and lives at risk.
You know, to be a living wage.
That council contract.
It's a school that's wanting funding.
No. So with living wage, so like to become a living wage employer, if you contract, those contractors have to be living wage employers as well.
That's what I'm saying.
This is school.
We're not contracting.
Because it's entirely up to them. It's their own business. If the person wants to do it.
So you accept that we don't pay people enough to live?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it's the woman might be doing it for, the person may be doing it for what she wants to do it for. There might be another arrangement. There may be other. It's nothing to do with us.
It's a fear.
Going forward, we can ask that question. I know in the strengthening communities, they do ask that question. So as staff, we can, going forward, any other applications, if they're applying for wages, we can check.
I think, it's not a cross, turn it down, but we should be bringing it up and we should be raising it so that we improve the conditions of all workers.
The answer is almost certainly yes, I suspect, but it would be good to have that in the future. So it's a sensible way forward.
Yeah. And I do just also want to raise with the information that we were given last meeting in regards to the increase from May till, was it October, that they had the numbers of cars coming down there?
I think it's true, the traffic.
Yeah, the traffic. Yeah, 1,900, it was an increase of 1,900 in those 6 months, whatever it was. Is the school happy that one is sufficient with the number of cars? And I mean, have the dangers increased? Is it sufficient to be having one on one side? Is it enough?
I just assessed the application on what they applied for, and they applied for what they've had in previously, which is one warden on Cranford and the other round the corner.
Oh yeah, just looking forward to the future, into the future, if it's going to continue to increase by those numbers of cars coming down that road, the safety issue is more and more.
Well, it could make it safer, Emma. More cars, they go slower. Just saying.
Or they run the red light faster because they're frustrated.
Yeah.
Anyway, no more questions.
Thank you.
Mover and a seconder. We'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. And item 9, the application from the Melbourne Scout Group. Hannah?
Hello.
Any questions for Hannah on this one?
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
each of the participants are having to pay $2,500 each, and we're only giving them $75. Can we give them more? Have we got funds available for more? $75 just didn't seem to go far towards their costs. I know how valuable these scout camps are for these kids that are involved in these organisations, and $75 for each. They've asked for 1,100. We're giving them $825. Can't we just give them 1,100?
Completely. It's a staff recommendation. Whatever do you decide is up to you.
I'm curious to know
There is money in the.
I'm curious to know how you got to 75, if there was a rhyme or reason to it. And is there money available if we could push it up to 1,100, which is what they're asked for, which is, you know, a very small portion of what the overall costs are when you look at the table we were given by them. It's actually 2,500 for every.
Yep.
I'd support that.
So what was that, Pauline?
I said I'll second that.
Okay, so Victoria's moving the greater amount,
Yeah.
1,100.
Per child.
No, it doesn't say
No,
it's only total.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I wonder whether we hear from them as to how they got to 75. There might be science to it. But I didn't have any information from me.
So there was 17 applicants altogether. Pendleton Hiwara Raimari also recommended $100 per applicant as well, so we're basing them off. So they had 6 applicants, so we're all just going that with the guide, but we can definitely take on the feedback. And
So they've gone $100 per applicant.
yes,
And we've got 11, so that makes it 1,100, right?
Yeah.
So that would mean we're matching the other boards.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we're
sounds
sharing
good.
with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so they've got the money. That's main point.
Yeah. Yeah, any more questions? No? Okay, so we've got
Go back.
Victoria
Increase it
has
to 1,100.
We don't need to do this.
Yeah, no, we're not sharing it with them, are we? No.
So we're increasing the amount though.
It's the same amount. They had a similar application and we
Okay,
just.
not the same application.
group.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So Victoria has
Like,
moved
yeah.
1,100, Pauline seconded it, we'll put that motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
That is carried.
Thank you.
Happy children?
You. We're up to item 10, which is the area reports. Remember. Again, is very comprehensive.
A couple of photos of you there,
I
Emma.
know.
You're really featuring.
And about.
It's been a busy month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of events, like parties.
Oh, yeah.
Happy to answer any questions. Obviously there's some attachments. Mark's done a lot of work on the weather advice plan, the community board monitoring report as well. Do you want to talk to me, Mark?
Yeah, so the severe weather readiness resource is in relation to something that the board put in its board area plan. It's rather, and that is a source of information that people can go to really in that readiness space of it still looks back to a lot of the front page sort of areas of council when you look at for flooding and then also for civil defence information. And we talked obviously to the civil defence staff to make sure that everyone was consistent and making sure that messaging is good, but it's got a little bit more depth to give it a little bit more relevance to the board area to encourage people to perhaps hook up with community groups as one of the main parts of community resilience and to help encourage those groups as to services offered by civil defence. So people well supportive of its mentioning of their workshops that they've been developing, and also encouraging people to tie in with groups to tie in with our advisors who would be looking to assist with that. There's one example in there of the what Belfast has done in that space, emergency awareness plan. So tying all those things together and knowing, what would you be looking for in the board plan?
Great. Thanks for all the work that's gone into that, Mark. Any other questions? Okay, do we have a mover and a seconder? Jake, Emma, got that motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
It's carried. Finally, we'll give them this information next week.
Now I can send the hands out on my back. Yeah.
Okay, Emma, then Sunita.
Also, I just got, we're going to bring up the
No, you can, it's your area.
Thought you were pointing at me. I was like, whoa.
So just to note that there is an increasing number of break-ins in cars around Edgware Village area. Sunita just told me today 10 in her street on Sunday night. There was 3 on my street same night. So it's just random vandalism that's happening around the area. I don't know if you are aware that the loft, the government's pulling the funding for the loft, and there's a petition out at the moment. So if you're interested in protecting that that facility there, that's there for people in desperate times. There is a petition there to keep it, to get the government to keep funding it. And the other thing that I just wanted to bring up was the level of pollution that we sort of let slip last time on the on the Cranford Street figures. So there was, I'd really like us to have more information in regards to what we were actually showing the other day, or last meeting, because I mean, to me, it sort of almost looked like the pollution had doubled. But I don't know enough. I was too confused with the numbers to work out more. So can we find out more about that pollution data?
Yeah, we can get the staff to come back to us with more the breakdown on those numbers, because I don't recall it double, but we'll check that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there were just huge lines up. I mean, I was just shocked. I was quite shocked by it.
That was all from you?
Yes, that's all.
Sunita?
I just wanted to share, you've seen Smriti coming in here today and presenting her, journey towards the award. In particular, both the principal of school really appreciated the award and the design, so bravo on all that. But I felt quite good in terms of how they have depicted what we envision the award we would like it to see. So it's a great start. And I went to Banks Avenue School as well, where young Mari got the award. Very pleased, the whole family and the community was so happy to receive that. And to see that how proudly a young chap carried the award was just priceless. So yeah, one great impactful thing we have done. Being a teacher, I kind of offered myself that if they want, and calling Swati here was giving her full civic experience as well, like, what actually happens. So I have offered, and I would encourage if you guys can in your area to school, if you get a chance to talk about it, that actually what happens and where the impacts are made. Because, somebody talked to me a few years ago, I am here. So if I talk to someone, future will carry on. So, but it was great to see students and school embracing what we offered. So thank you for that.
It's fantastic to see.
Just a couple of small things. Emma and I both had some emails from a group of residents in Marble Drive around the wildflower trial, and they were most unhappy with it. There's quite beautifully manicured gardens and lawns in that neighbourhood. Really, really beautiful. So the wildflowers and the unkept grass wasn't particularly popular. So, and I reported that straight into Parks, and they responded immediately and said that's absolutely fine. We will just mow it over. So they do listen. If any of you are hearing anything from any of your residents around any of the wildflower trials, please make sure you're feeding back into council on that. Oh yeah, I've got another really interesting situation happening along Dudley Creek that's causing a bit of concern, where in the latest winds, a massive tree has fallen across the creek and smashed into someone else's back of their garage in the fence, and we've got a big dispute trying to see who's going to open the damage and repair and move it. And I'm trying to work in with council. The landowner says it's not his. The other landowner on the other side of the creek can't get insurance action until it's made safe and it's removed. The council aren't taking responsibility. The Crown aren't taking responsibility. And there's a number of really big trees along Dudley Creek. And I'm really trying to find a solution.
Whereabouts exactly?
On the back of Harris and Condell, So I'd be really interested if anyone's had any similar issues to talk, because I'm trying to help these residents. I'm trying to find a solution, because it may not be the first, and it certainly won't be the last for some of those bigger trees. And because it's actually not causing an impediment to the water flow, then the council aren't actually taking action. I'm about to get a pre-quote. It could cost as much as 30,000 to remove this tree. It is like, you couldn't get your arms around it. It's huge. So if anyone's got any helpful suggestion or ideas, I'd be really open to that, please.
Don't make it into a slide.
No, don't make it into a slide.
Is Victoria? Is it a willow?
Oh, is it a willow? I don't know. It's just really big. I don't know, but I've got a number of people trying to look and help, because the residents, it seems really unfair on residents to have to pay $30,000 to $40,000 to move a tree, which is essentially in the creek.
I just thought firewood contracting place might take it for the wood, for the timber, for the firewood.
We've talked about that, but it is so huge that it's actually a health and safety risk to try and to move it. And the landowners don't want to touch it for fear of causing additional damage to their property. Anyway, I'm working with residents to try and find a way through that. So any help would be appreciated. The second one is in relation to the community issue with our lovely cat feeder in our neighbourhoods. And you may have seen a recent article in the press again coming up, and I was quoted in there, and same as what I reported to the board. So I've checked back in with council to see if there's any updates, and I've essentially just been told that we acknowledge the behaviour of the person's upsetting people, but from a compliance perspective for the council, they don't have any suggestion, any evidence to suggest that she's breaching any laws, and there's really nothing else that the council can do at the moment. So the message to any residents that are concerned is, if she's trespassing, call the police. If she's causing harm, call the police. But the council aren't able to take that any further. A really nice, heartwarming story. I'm on the panel for the draft spatial plan, and we had Youth Day last Saturday, and we had a number of our local schools come and present to us, and there was one standout from me. There were a couple of kids from Papanui High School, and this gorgeous kid, this boy, I don't know, 16 maybe, gave his own rendition of I Love Papanui. It was this absolutely gorgeous poem. I'm trying to get my hands on a recording of it, and if I can't, I'm actually going to invite him to come along and share it with us. And I'm going to send a note in to the principal. It was a tearjerker. It was so beautiful. It was really nice to hear through the eyes of the youth of what's important to them and just what their everyday life is like in the hood. It was a really gorgeous poem. So that's a nice heartwarming story. Rededication of the Memorial Gates at Lancaster Park on Saturday. Anyone wants to go to that? I think it kicks off at 12:30. And the other thing is, I've received an invitation to go to the Marion College blessing of the new school on the site. Has anyone else got that on their radar? Great, because I can't stay for the whole event. And then the other thing that I wanted to discuss really was the pathway to the long-term plan. There's been a lot of emails around about that, a lot of angst about that. I wondered whether Emma wanted to just update Emma about where we're at as a board and whether we're comfortable with that pathway that we've got to get our input. I just didn't know who wanted to talk to that.
Oh, Emma, the paper books. What's your
I was going to speak about it in a minute. We had an update at our board chairs and deputies forum this morning.
Oh yeah.
Draft 4.
I thought it was 4.3.5, wasn't
Yes,
it?
3.5.
3.5. Now we're at 4.
Yes.
So,
the opportunity we were given last week to give feedback was far from ideal, and we have feedback back very strongly.
It's being kind, so.
The next step is, I'll be looking at an email shortly. Okay, information on how to access the latest draft and see breakdowns of line items in that capital program. And yeah, councillors have got a workshop next week.
if it holds, I've been changing around a bit.
All right, but basically the next step for us to give input is through our councillors. So that you guys can make changes to this draft before it gets to its next iteration.
Cool.
Okay, summary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Any feedback needs to go through the councillors
up until the 14th of November, then the councillors potentially have up until the 20th of December to finalise. Emma will send an email with a tool that may assist you, which inboxes.
Is there an opportunity for the board with the councillors to discuss it before that December 20th date?
Not that I'm aware of. We've been told to feedback through the councillors.
But we could maybe, if we want to, we could maybe arrange a time to get together as a board to discuss what we want.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah.
With respect, and this is why I pushed back on it as well. I don't care what we're told, actually, and this is what frustrated me about that. No, I mean, when we were given that direction to consider that information, and it was on the proviso, or the reason was because there were reasons why it had been rushed. I want to know why, and that's what I asked. And what's most frustrating is when the email came back from John Filsell that clearly outlined the details to why it had got to that position to that date. I sent it to Emma, and Emma said, those are dates that I haven't seen either. So I'm most frustrated that this is something that could have and should have been avoided, and seems to be a breakdown in process and communication. So if that can be sorted, this shouldn't happen again. And that then raised the issue about what is the level of service of the supply and communication of information to elected members, because there should be one if there isn't. And if there isn't, how can we go about getting one? Because otherwise this is just going to continue.
Yeah, fair point, Ellie.
Thank you.
So is that all from you, Victoria? Okay. John.
Hi. Yeah, just a few. Phillipstown Neighbourhood Policing Team had their safety panel meeting this week, of which I was a part, and they are embarking on a project. They've identified that one of the issues in the area is lack of reporting. You know, police can't build their numbers if people aren't reporting in crimes. Simultaneous to that, people don't want to report crimes always because they think they're bothering police, or they don't want to get in the way, or they think nothing's going to happen. And some of those things can be true, but what they've done is developed a flyer that's going to be distributed around the neighbourhoods. It's a really folksy, homemade looking thing with a magnet on it, and it outlines exactly what to do if certain situations are happening. Like it's happening right now, 111. If it's happened already, 105, with a bit of expansion on that. It's not the be all and end all, but it's going to be helpful. In the Victoria neighbourhoods area, they've reported that there's mail thefts happening in that area. We were talking about vandalism before. It's funny how crime kind of moves around.
We had the mail thefts. We had that.
We had them on each side, central. Yeah, they've gone, but they're continuing. So things move around. I have a theory it somehow correlates with the type of drugs being distributed in a given area, but I need to do more work on that. Edmonds Gardens, who are friends of ours and have presented this board, have had a reduction in the amount of vandalism in the gardens, which is great news. And their CCTV system has been upgraded with new hardware and new software, partly in thanks to Christchurch City Council having a program where they will donate computers to not-for-profit organisations, refurbished computers that aren't being used by staff anymore. That's something I would encourage NPOs to do rather than buying a new computer if they need to do so. Around that Phillipstown and Charlestown area, I want to give a bouquet to the assets protection team at council who have helped me over the past 3 or so months attending to a footpath obstruction that a household has been recalcitrant about resolving, and nothing happens overnight, so it has taken a process, but we're pleased to say that that footpath is clear. We have another one to resolve in a similar area, but the householders there have told compliance staff to go away, or that they will deal with them in a nasty way, and that appears to have put a stop to things. So I want to perhaps write to market or write to governance and inquire as to whether we can provide support to our compliance staff, such as police support to go with them, to deliver compliance. Otherwise, the community is getting a message that if you threaten to
tell people to go away,
and if they'll meet their end, not so many words, then the matter's at an end, and it might get more generally adopted. I think we want to put a stop to that. And then finally, David was here a meeting or two ago from the Richmond Residents and Business Association talking about the bird goanna issue, among other things that they're having. And we're getting some traction on a way that the birds can be deterred without harming said birds. We've missed it for this season because of supply chain logistics, but we're working on it for next spring, summer season. So more to be.
And what is it, John?
It's a grape extract that gets misted around the area, and the birds go, I don't like this for whatever reason, and they
go somewhere else.
go somewhere else.
I'm pleased that that's actually occurred because that was brought up,
Put a lot of work
3
into
years
it.
ago?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
brought up-
No, they'll go next door, maybe. I don't know. Let's wait and see.
My ward,
There are, to be fair, this is unusual because the trees go over the top of properties. So there are other places where in town where starlings are actually admired and welcome. They're quite a nice bird unless they're living straight above your roof and garden.
Will there be any money you need from DRF to, like, how much is this an expensive treatment?
It's about a $5,000 proposition.
So something we should think about.
Well, it's a health and safety issue, isn't it? Yeah, it's
It-
a health
it
and
is.
safety issue.
Yeah, I remember I've mentioned to David in the past that it's something we could look at.
Yeah, cool.
Under my.
Good. So I'd like to look to that. That's me.
John? I'll go Simon, then Ellie.
Thank you. Just briefly, Pauline and I last Thursday attended a local government New Zealand event in Wellington, progressing the work that LGNZ are doing towards a consensus position around the Future for Local Government report, and more broadly, what the sector thinks the future should be, more broadly than just responding to the FFLG report. It was a successful day. Well, there were 150-ish elected members from around the country engaging in that process and focusing on the areas where there was not already a consistent view, but there was enough signs that perhaps a consensus could be reached, which was around funding to Tiriti, sort of reorganisation of the sector and wellbeing. Next steps on that are our LGNZ now in the background are putting together a piece of work which will go to a special general meeting before the end of the year, which our council, as with others, will then contribute to a decision on. I'm not quite sure what the internal decision making is going to be in Christchurch City Council around sort of how the council votes on that. Pauline may be able to comment on that. It's a bit of a moving feast and fast moving in the midst of everything else that's happening for our council and others, of course. Just the other thing for me on LGNZ as well is all community board members should have received an invitation to complete a survey by LGNZ. Really important to the community board executive committee that we get as much feedback into that as possible, so it will feed into our work program in the new year around how LGNZ CBIC can best support community boards. So I'll be sending out a reminder over the next couple of days about that as well.
Simon, Ellie.
So Emma, I'll just comment on what Simon. So that the resulting work from those 2 workshops that they had, LGNZ held on the future by local government work. I was only at the second one, not the first one. So that's had 2 rounds of many elected members feeding into it. They're going away to compile it into a report that will go to every council for endorsement. So basically that is what we will do. We won't reinvent it. We won't start doing a workshop on it because we consider that it's had really good feedback and input from across elected members across New Zealand. And that will just go through to LGNZ to adopt in their special general meeting in December. So that's the process for that one. But all elected members will see it on the 24th of November.
Cool. Ellie.
Thank you. Thanks for the information about the St Albans pool, the Edgewood pool, which we've been talking about with regards to some of the funding that the board's looking at providing. And I see that there are 6 conditions, which is what we were kind of after. Could I further to that now ask, and I know some of them clearly we're not at because they are required after the thing is built, but could we have an idea of where the group is at as far as all of those go? Because the grant is contingent on those points being met. So it would just be good to know whereabouts they are.
Staff can.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Update on that when they bring that back.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, just one other thing. I attended the AGM of the community gardens this week. And so community gardens in Canterbury have gone from 48 to 60 in a year.
Wow.
So yeah, and I was also at Town Hub during the week at a course, and the community police were actually there with the barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing a community barbecue, and it was great to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they were saying that, I was talking to them, and they were saying that it's making quite a difference. Yeah, so it's nice. It'd be nice to see it in the other communities.
Yeah, they set a good example, I think.
Yeah.
And just a quick update from me on what I've been doing in my capacity as chair since the last meeting. I presented with our monthly reports council along with Simon. I also presented to, as Victoria said, the Greater Christchurch Spatial Hearing Panel. It was an interesting one because in our submission we talked about the use of the existing rail, and that was picked up on by the panel and seemed to be a lot of support around that. And
That's interesting. Is it
questions
recorded?
about why it wasn't included in there, as we mentioned.
Was it video recorded? Is it available? It is, great.
Yeah.
Would you mind flicking a day or like a time and a rough idea of when that?
I can find that out.
Oh, okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
So that was encouraging. And then, as I said, we had it this morning, our board chairs and deputies forum, where we talked about, we got an update on that long-term plan process, and we also asked for information about council's reaction to the ombudsman's report around being included in briefings and things. So look forward to hearing about the work that council is undertaking in that area.
Yeah.
That's it from me. Anything else? Okay, we'll finish with our karakia. Whilst I'll just close the meeting for me first. Got live stream.